Hello everybody, welcome to a special midweek episode of Best of British Blackwell. Today we're going to be cooking for you something that a lot of followers and a lot of people that subscribe to my page have asked me to cook, and that's a good old-fashioned liver and bacon. We're going to be making this with some onion gravy, some peas and some mashed potatoes. A lot of people out there that don't really like eating offal and will probably put off eating things like liver and offal when they were younger. But you know what? It's a really good, decent, sustainable meat. It's very good for you. Liver, particularly lamb's liver, which we're cooking here today, is very high in iron. And you know, it's just good for you and good hearty food and cheap and easy to cook, which you know, when you're bringing up a family is always good. So come over, have a look at the ingredients that we've got, and then we'll make a start, okay? The ingredients here are pretty self-explanatory. We've got some decent lamb's liver here. You can use calf's liver. Calf's liver is an awful lot more expensive than lamb's liver, and it's actually much bigger and kind of meatier in texture. You get a really lovely taste from lamb's liver, and lamb's liver is what I was brought up eating, so I'm doing that today. There's a little bit of preparation work with the lamb's liver depending on which butcher you get it from. I haven't bought this from a butcher, I've just bought this from a supermarket, so there will be a little tiny bit of preparation work involved in that. That's where this bowl of flour comes in, and the salt and pepper. To make our onion gravy, we're just going to use a very basic kind of Bisto gravy stock, and then we're going to add our onions to that. We're going to fry those onions off first, chop them up and fry them off, and then we've got some really nice lean streaky bacon here as well. The other thing that I've got, which is very simple, very easy to prepare, is some mashed potato, prepared however you like it, and some garden peas. Okay, so we're going to talk about the preparation of the lamb's liver. When you buy lamb's liver, it's going to come in some fairly irregular shapes and sizes. What you're trying to do here is to make sure that no piece of the lamb's liver is any thicker than about 1/2 inch. If it's too thick, you won't be able to cook it all the way through, and it will be bloody in the middle, unless you like it like that. Personally, I don't. And if it's too thin, it will cook too quickly. So in preparing the liver, you want to kind of cut it so it's no thicker than about 1/2 inch. And you also need to get rid of some of the sinew as well, which, as you can see down the side here, you've got some kind of white sinew. So just getting a really nice sharp knife, just cut the sinew away. It will fall off nice and easy. And then you've got your liver, lovely pieces of liver here. You will get quite a bit of wastage with liver, but don't worry about that. Liver's relatively cheap, well, very cheap in fact, and the wastage needs to be factored into how much you buy and how much you cook. Again, you'll see that there's quite a lot of sinew in the liver, but it's nice and easy to cut, nice and easy to chop the fat off. Just put it all to one side, all the trimmings. Again here, that bit there is probably a little bit too thick, so just a quick cut down the middle, and you've got some lovely piles of liver here. Once you've got your liver kind of butchered and the sinews taken out of it, what you need to do is get some nice plain flour in a long flat bowl like this, and just place your pieces of liver in it. Some people will advise that you soak the liver in milk. That draws out any excess blood. I personally don't do that. You can do. I've never tried it. I've never tried liver that's been soaked in milk. I know that a lot of people talk about doing that. My grandmother didn't ever do that, so I've never done it. I'm not for 1 minute saying that you shouldn't, but I don't, and I don't think any worse of it. Give it a really good coating of flour. Also, season it now. Plenty of pepper in there, plenty of salt, and then just keep moving it around to make sure you've got a good coating all the way over this liver. As you can see, the fact that the liver's quite moist, the flour sticks to it beautifully. When cooking my liver and bacon, I like to start by doing two things. I like to start by getting a little bit of the gravy mix on the go here, which we've got here. That's that Bisto and Oxo gravy that we've got boiling away here. Many people will say, oh well, you know, when my grandparents used to make it, they used to make the gravy in what was left in the pan. We are still going to do that, but the reason that I've made a kind of beefy gravy stock here is that once these onions, which are frying here, start to go a nice browny colour, I'm going to take these straight out of this pan and put them in that gravy and let them seep in the gravy juices for a while. That's the way that you get a really decent tasting onion gravy. And then once we finish cooking the bacon, which will be cooked in the same pan as the onions, we'll then move on to cook the liver, and then finally we'll transfer this onion gravy, which will all be in here, back into this pan to finish off. So I'm going to finish frying these up. They're very, very nearly done. And then when you come back, I'll be whacking the bacon into this pan. So over in the back here, we've got our potatoes boiling away, or just preparing to boil. As they get to the stage where they're just about to boil, where we're going to have them boiling away for 3 or 4 minutes to make our mashed potato, we start to work on our bacon over here. The other thing that we've got on the hob over there are some garden peas, which we will put on just as the potatoes come off. But back over here, we're going to start cooking our bacon. So, as with any food that you eat, the better the quality ingredients, the better the food's going to taste. So this is some decent quality, unsmoked, streaky bacon. Nice hot pan. This is the same pan that the onions are cooked in. So get it nice and hot. And what you're looking to do with this bacon is you don't want it really, really crispy. You want it well cooked and just starting to turn that nice golden colour. But you don't want it crispy like you would have for a crispy bacon sandwich or a grilled bacon sandwich. There still needs to be a little bit of flexibility in it. So our bacon's very nearly done, as you can see. Lovely and golden, not burned. You've got some nice dark edges on there, but actually, as you can see, the bacon's still quite malleable and fluffy, but really a nice golden colour. So what we're going to do with this is we're going to take it off. I've got a little pan here, which I'm just keeping warm on a little hot plate, which sits on the side of my cooker here. I'm quite lucky to have that. But if you don't have a little hot plate that can keep the bacon warm for you, you can put it in the oven on the lowest temperature. You're really not going to have it in there that long, because everything else is going to be ready in a moment. We've still got steeping away our onion gravy there, and we've still got boiling away our potatoes in the background. Now while this pan's still hot, we're going to get the liver in there. But now look what the liver has done. The liver has started to, the blood has started to soak into some of the flour that we've got in here. So you need to give it another turn and another dusting of flour before it goes in, and then just get it straight into that hot oil. Make sure that every part of the liver is coated in the flour, and the flour is what gives the lovely crunchy texture to the outside of the liver, and that's the flavour and the texture that I remember when I was a kid. If you cook this stuff right, I promise you, it's as good as a decent steak. And for you guys out there, I don't want to go too kind of ethical and so on with you. I'm a big meat eater, I love it, but it's all to do with top to tail eating. You know, butchers spend farmers spend a lot of their time raising their cattle and their animals for us, and butchers spend a lot of their time butchering them for us. The least we can do is make sure that that animal doesn't die in vain, and that we use every single bit of it. Because I promise you, the lamb's livers are one of the best pieces of meat that you can get. Really, do give it a go. I know that it's a little bit off-putting because it is offal and it's very bloody, but I promise you it's really tasty, and you're doing the animal a real service by eating all of it. Don't let it die in vain. So, cook these away. You can see them frying up straight away. A little bit of Worcester sauce for the flavour. Get that sizzle going. Leave these in the pan to cook. Turn them over in about a minute or 2 minutes time, and they're not going to be far off done. After a little while of cooking, you'll see that the livers start, if I can zoom in for you, the blood in the liver starts to seep through a little bit. That's not a problem, that's perfectly expected. All you need to do really is take a little bit of your excess flour here, Give it a little sprinkle over the top of the livers. And in fact, when the blood stops coming through the other side of the livers, they're about ready to turn over. So just take your fork, and there we go. We're turning them over. And we're seeing that the flour and the oil have almost created a very thin layer of batter. And these are really nearly ready to come off. And as with any decent meat, you leave it to stand for a little bit. You let it rest. You let the molecules inside that meat stop cooking. And then what we'll do is we'll concentrate on the mashed potato while those are just finishing off. So the next part of the cook is the mashed potatoes. I've just put them into a sieve over by the sink there. They're straining off at the moment. First things first, let's get ourselves some butter. This pan's still hot because this is the pan that the potatoes were cooked in. Get yourself a good couple of tablespoons of butter. You're going to make some really nice luxurious mashed potato here. Okay, so a good couple of teaspoons of butter. Notice I'm putting it in there with a fork. We're going to be using that fork in a minute. Bring the potatoes straight back over. Pour them in. Some good cracks of seasoning. Good amount of salt in there. Good amount of pepper. And then what we're going to do is get some nice fresh cold milk straight out of the fridge and pour that in. I suppose you've probably got about 200 mils in there. Then we start to mash. Get yourself a decent masher for this and get them down nice and soft. As you can see, that butter is starting to work its way into the potato. It's starting to stiffen up, but it's really taking on that lovely fluffy consistency. Now, midway through, take the masher out, whack it to the side, get your fork back, give it a good stir with the fork. This is going to do two things. This is going to work out some of the real small lumps in the mashed potato, but it's also going to add a bit of air back into the mashed potato and give it that fluffy texture. So really start to work the fork in. It's the teeth of the fork that are going to get through those small lumps. And then back in with the mash, the potato masher again, making sure you work all around the outsides. Just grab every single last one of those tiny little lumps in there. You don't want lumpy mash. You can get these people that pass the mash for a potato ricer or a ricer. That's just too much like hard work. In fact, it's the hard work with the mash that pays off. A little bit of elbow grease. Last final flourish with the fork. Work that up, and that is ready to serve. One more last bit of butter just to finish it off and work that in. Perfect mashed potato every time. Now our mashed potato is done, we're very nearly done. I've got the liver resting over here with the bacon. It's literally just come out of the pan, and as you can see, what we're left with in the pan is a mixture of oil, flour, onion, a little bit of bacon fat in there. Now very simply, take your gravy which has been steeping with the onions, pour it straight into the pan. Now, you're looking to do two things here. Warm the gravy through, but you're also looking to pick up some of the bits and pieces that are stuck to the bottom of that pan. So you're working that into the gravy. Be very careful though, because this gravy is going to thicken really quickly, and you don't want it ending up like treacle, but you want it ending up thick enough so that it covers all your mash and your liver. Now while this is cooking away, make sure the heat is down nice and low. As it is, I'm going to be serving up the mash, serving up the peas, plating everything up, and just letting this warm through. This is the part that my nan would have done from the pan straight away. She would have just added some water, added the flour, put a couple of oxo cubes in there and just thrown her onions in. But I've done it a slightly different way, slightly quicker way actually, cheating a little bit. But we're ready to plate up now. This looks lovely. So we're plating up. You've got your lovely mashed potato, your lovely peas, good helping of liver. Treat yourself, put as much on there as you want. It's as cheap as chips. Decent bit of bacon. Then you just get your onion gravy and go straight over the lot. It really is absolute comfort food. I promise you, if you've never tried liver before, I just beg of you, please try it, give it a go. You'll absolutely love it. That's how it should be served. Loads of different variations on these dishes, loads of different ways of doing it, but that is essentially your decent liver and bacon. Give it a go, people, you really won't regret it.